The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched upward into shadows, its crystalline walls catching and refracting the light from a dozen different suns. Ambassador Jack Morrison sat at the human delegation table, his fingers drumming steadily on its polished surface. For 8 months he had come to this chamber. For 8 months he had spoken words of cooperation and compromise. For 8 months he had watched alien faces twist with barely concealed contempt. Today would be different. The Tharnian counselor Vexlar spoke first, his forearms gesturing dramatically as his translator converted his clicking speech into English. The human delegation presents the same tired arguments. Why should we grant your species equal trading rights when you have existed in space for barely 200 years? The Tharnian Empire has guided younger races for millennia. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Vashti ambassador's feathered crest rose in approval. The Krillian representative's mechanical augments whirred as she nodded. Jack listened to the translation, though by now he understood enough Tharnian to catch the additional insults that never made it through the diplomatic filters. Primitive, naive, insignificant. The same words, meeting after meeting. Ambassador Morrison, said Counselor Zeth of the Krillian Collective, her voice synthetic and cold. Your people request access to the Sigma trading routes. As we have explained, these routes require sophisticated navigation protocols that human vessels simply cannot handle. Our ships use the same quantum drives as yours, Jack replied evenly. Our navigators train at the same academies. We've proven our capabilities in the Delta routes for 3 years without incident. The Delta routes, scoffed Ambassador Kretok of the Vashti Federation, his scaled throat expanding with derision. Those are training paths for children. The Sigma routes carry the lifeblood of galactic commerce. One human error could cost trillions in damages. Jack had heard this argument before. He had presented safety records, pilot certifications, testimonials from non-council species who had worked successfully with human crews. Every time the council found new objections. Then let us discuss the proposed technology exchange, Jack said, shifting topics with practiced patience. Humanity offers our advances in terraforming, medical nanotechnology, and quantum communication. In return, we ask only for standard trade agreements and basic diplomatic recognition. Vexalar's mandibles clicked rapidly. The Tharnian equivalent of laughter. Medical nanotechnology? The Tharnian Empire mastered cellular repair before your species discovered fire. And quantum communication? Please, Ambassador. The Collective has been using Ansible networks since before Earth's dinosaurs went extinct. The insult hung in the recycled air of the chamber. Jack felt the familiar heat rising in his chest, the same anger he had swallowed in 100 meetings before this one. His aide, Maria Santos, shifted uncomfortably beside him. She was young on her first diplomatic assignment. She still believed in the mission. Our nanotechnology can cure Vraxian plague, Jack said quietly. Something your cellular repair has failed to address for 300 years. Our quantum communicators work in the void zones where your Ansible networks fall silent. But if our technology is so primitive, perhaps we should keep it to ourselves. The chamber fell silent. Even the constant whisper of translator devices seemed to pause. Counselor Zeth leaned forward, her mechanical eyes focusing on Jack. Are you threatening to withhold humanitarian aid, Ambassador? That seems rather uncivilized. Before Jack could respond, Vexalar stood, his massive frame casting shadows across the polished floor. The problem with humans is that you mistake patience for weakness. We allow you in these chambers out of courtesy, not necessity. You contribute, nothing we cannot obtain elsewhere. Is that so? Jack asked, his voice dangerously calm. Indeed, said Kretok, joining the attack. Your species controls no strategic resources. You possess no unique technologies. You exist at the periphery of civilized space because we permit it. This constant demanding of equal status grows tiresome. Jack nodded slowly, then turned to Maria. Pack our files. Sir? Pack everything, we're done here. The chamber erupted in confused murmurs. No delegation had ever walked out of a general session before. Ambassador Morrison, called Zeth, you haven't been dismissed. The council session continues for Another 3 hours. Jack stood, straightening his formal jacket. I'm dismissing myself, counselor. Earth has spent 8 months offering partnership and receiving condescension. We've shared technology freely while being told our contributions are worthless. We've requested basic trade rights while being treated like beggars at your table. Pulled out his secure communicator and spoke clearly, knowing the chamber's systems would record every word. This is Ambassador Morrison to all Earth diplomatic stations. Execute Protocol Exodus. All personnel are to withdraw from Council space within 72 hours. Close all embassies. Recall all trade missions. Terminate all technology sharing. Agreements. You can't be serious, Vexillar sputtered. This is a diplomatic tantrum. What will your people do without access to Council markets? Without our protection from pirates and raiders? Jack smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I suppose we'll find out. Wait. Kretok rose from his seat, suddenly less assured. Surely, we can discuss this. Perhaps we were hasty in our words. No, Jack cut him off. For 8 months I've endured your words. I've translated them for my government. I've explained to my people why we should keep trying, keep talking, keep compromising. And do you know what my president said to me last night? The chamber had gone completely silent now. She said, Jack, the thing about talking is that it only works when both sides are listening. Jack picked up his briefcase and nodded to Maria, who had finished packing their materials. As they walked toward the exit, Jack paused at the threshold. Humanity withdraws from these negotiations, he announced formally. We will no longer seek membership in the Galactic Council. We will no longer request access to your trade routes. We will no longer share our technology or resources. This is a mistake, Zeth warned. Without the Council, your species will be isolated, vulnerable. Jack met her mechanical gaze steadily. Counselor, we've survived ice ages, world wars, and our own nuclear age. We've gone from cave paintings to quantum computers in a blink of cosmic time. Being underestimated has never stopped us before. He turned to address the full chamber one final time. You say we exist at the periphery of civilized space. You say we contribute nothing unique. You say we survive only by your good graces. Very well. We accept your assessment. Goodbye. As Jack and Maria walked through the corridors of the Council station, passing elaborate murals depicting the glorious histories of the member species, Maria finally spoke. Sir, are we really abandoning everything we've worked for? Jack glanced at the young diplomat. We're not abandoning anything, Maria. We're changing the game. The Council thinks our withdrawal is surrender. They'll realize too late that it's something else entirely. What is it then? Jack smiled grimly. Preparation. Within hours, human ships began departing from every Council world. Trade agreements dissolved. Technology exchanges halted. The great powers of the galaxy watched with mixed reactions, some with satisfaction, others with growing unease. In the Council chamber, the alien representatives continued their session, debating matters they considered far more important than the departure of an upstart species. None of them noticed the subtle changes already beginning in the markets. None calculated the true percentage of their supply chains that ran through human-operated logistics hubs. None questioned why the pirates and raiders along the frontier had been so quiet these past few years. They didn't realize, not yet, that when humans stop negotiating, it doesn't mean they've given up. It means they've started planning. Captain Lisa Baker stood on the observation deck of Nexus Station, watching the organized chaos below. Human workers moved with practiced efficiency, loading cargo containers onto transport ships. 2 weeks had passed since Ambassador Morrison's dramatic exit from the Council chambers, and now every human installation in Council space was executing the same orderly withdrawal. Captain Baker, her second-in-command, Lieutenant Tom Harris, approached with a datapad. The Krillians are demanding to speak with you. 3rd time today. Lisa sighed. Put them through to my office. I'll give them the same answer I gave yesterday. The holographic display in her office flickered to life, revealing the mechanical features of Secretary Drenval of the Krillian Collective. His optical sensors glowed an agitated red. Captain Baker, this is unacceptable. Your personnel are removing equipment that is critical to station operations. Secretary Drenvell, as I explained yesterday, we're only removing human property. All systems essential to station life support and basic operations remain intact. But your communications arrays were installed and maintained by humans using human technology at human expense. They're coming with us. The Krillian sensors dimmed briefly in what Lisa had learned to recognize as frustration. The Council could compensate you for the equipment. The Council has had 8 months to discuss compensation. That window has closed. Captain, please be reasonable. Without your communication systems, our long-range transmissions will be reduced by 40%. Lisa shrugged. Then I suggest you contact the Tharnians. I believe they mentioned something about having superior technology that predates our species' discovery of fire. She cut the transmission before the secretary could respond. Tom was waiting outside her office. The Vashti ambassador is here. He wants to discuss maintaining informal channels of communication. Tell him no. How's the evacuation proceeding? Ahead of schedule, actually. The crews are motivated. Everyone wants to get home. Lisa nodded and walked back to the observation deck. Below, the human section of Nexus Station was being systematically stripped of everything that belonged to Earth and its colonies. Computer systems, medical equipment, communication arrays, even the hydroponic gardens. All of it was being carefully packed and loaded onto waiting ships. What made Lisa smile, though, was what they were leaving behind. The basic life support her people had installed still functioned. The emergency medical bay remained operational. The backup power systems hummed quietly in their housings. Humanity was withdrawing, not destroying. They were better than the Council believed. Her personal communicator chimed. The face of Admiral Susan Grant appeared on the small screen. Captain Baker, how's the evacuation proceeding? On schedule, Admiral. The locals are getting nervous. They should be. We've completed withdrawal from 17 stations in the past week. The Council is finally starting to notice some complications. Such as? Admiral Grant smiled grimly. Apparently, they just discovered that humans process about 60% of all shipping manifests in Council space. Their automated systems can't handle the load. There's already a backlog of over 3,000 cargo ships waiting for clearance. Lisa couldn't help but laugh. They're only now figuring that out? They assumed our primitive administrative systems were redundant. They're learning otherwise. After the call ended, Lisa returned to supervising the evacuation. She watched as her people carefully dismantled a medical scanner that had saved countless alien lives over the past 5 years. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the station's chief medical officer, was personally overseeing its removal. Careful with that calibration unit, Sarah called out. We're going to need it at the new hospital on Proxima Colony. The Nexus Station administrator, a Morvani named Grixtel, approached Lisa with all 4 of his arms waving in distress. Captain, Baker, please. Your medical team is removing equipment from the trauma center. Only the equipment we supplied, Lisa replied calmly. But we have patience. Your doctor treated a Tharnian ambassador just yesterday, and we left you fully functional, basic medical facilities. But our advanced trauma equipment, our surgical robots, our nanomedical suites, those are coming with us. The nearest equivalent technology is in the Vashti sector, 3 weeks away. Then I suggest you establish better relationships with the Vashti. Or perhaps you could ask the Krillians. I understand their medical technology is quite advanced. They told us so in the last trade negotiation meeting. Grixtel's scales shifted to a distressed purple. Captain, beings could die. Lisa stopped and faced him directly. Administrator, for 8 months my people have provided advanced medical care to every species on this station, free of charge. We've shared our techniques, offered to train your doctors, proposed joint research programs, and at every turn we were told our methods were quaint and primitive. Well, now you get to use your own superior technology. Over the next several hours, the human evacuation continued with clockwork precision. Personal belongings, scientific equipment, trade goods, everything with a human registration code was cataloged, packed, and loaded. Lisa noticed more and more alien officials appearing on the administrative levels. their body language growing increasingly agitated as they realized the full scope of what was happening. A group of Tharnian trade representatives huddled near the customs office, their mandibles clicking rapidly as they stared at screens showing growing backlogs of unprocessed shipping permits. Her communicator chimed again. This time it was Captain Marcus Webb from the USS Columbia, one of the ships assigned to the evacuation fleet. Captain Baker, we're picking up increased chatter on Council military channels. They're discussing preventing our ships from leaving. They won't, Lisa said confidently. Check the departure logs. Notice how we've been routing all evacuation traffic through established commercial lanes. I see it. But why does that matter? Because those lanes are governed by about 300 different trade agreements, none of which give the Council authority to stop peaceful civilian traffic. To block us, they'd have to violate their own laws. Clever. But won't they just change the laws? Eventually. But that requires a full council vote, environmental impact studies, and reviews by at least 15 different committees. By the time they finish the paperwork, we'll be long gone. As the day progressed, more alien delegations attempted to negotiate with the departing humans. The Vashti offered exclusive trade rights. The Morvani proposed scientific exchanges. Even, the proud Tharnians sent a junior diplomat to inquire about maintaining certain useful arrangements. Lisa rejected them all with the same polite but firm response. Earth has withdrawn from negotiations. By evening, the human section of Nexus station stood empty. The last transport was loaded, its cargo hold filled with the final pieces of equipment. Lisa took one last walk through the abandoned corridors. The walls were bare, the offices empty, but everything was clean and orderly. They were leaving with dignity. At the docking bay, she found Tom conducting the final checks on their departure. Clearance. All set, Captain. We can leave whenever you're ready. Lisa looked back at the station one more time. Any second thoughts, Tom? About leaving? He shook his head. I've been reading the reports from other evacuations. Do you know the Krillians just discovered that humans were handling about 70% of their economic forecasting? Their markets are already starting to fluctuate. And it's only been 2 weeks. Exactly. They thought we were expendable. They're about to learn otherwise. As Lisa's ship pulled away from Nexus Station, she watched the massive structure recede in the viewports. Already she could see signs of disorder. Ships were queuing in the wrong lanes. Cargo transfers were taking twice as long as usual. The station's precise choreography of arrivals and departures had become a confused jumble. Her console chimed with an incoming message from Admiral Grant. All human personnel successfully evacuated from Council space. Phase 1 complete. Prepare for Phase 2. Lisa smiled and settled into her command chair. The Council thought humanity's withdrawal was an emotional response to wounded pride. They were about to discover it was something far more calculated. As her ship entered hyperspace, heading for human territory, Lisa wondered how long it would take the Council to realize the truth. They hadn't just lost a junior member species. They'd lost the people who had been quietly keeping their civilization running. The real lesson was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the last human ship left Council space. In the Grand Chamber where Ambassador Morrison had made his final stand, the Galactic Council convened for another emergency session. The confident posturing that had filled these halls half a year ago had vanished, replaced by something uncomfortably close to panic. Councillor Vexlar of the Tharnian Empire stood at the central podium, his forearms no longer gesturing with their usual dramatic flair. His voice carried none of its former arrogance as he addressed the assembly. Esteemed colleagues, we face an unprecedented crisis. Since the human withdrawal, our trade efficiency has dropped by 63%. 63%. Our economic forecasts were optimistic. The chamber erupted in anxious chatter. Ambassador Kretok of the Vashti Federation raised his scaled hand for attention. The situation is worse than the counselor suggests. Piracy along the frontier has increased 7-fold. Apparently, human patrol vessels were maintaining order in regions we hadn't even realized needed protection. The humans never reported these anti-piracy activities, complained Secretary Drenval of the Krillian Collective, his mechanical voice crackling with static. a sign of the system failures plaguing much of the Council's infrastructure. They filed standard patrol reports, Counselor Zeth corrected. We simply never read them. We assumed their ships were performing basic transport duties. Admiral Shrika of the Morvani Republic brought up a holographic display. This is our current border security map. The red zones indicate areas with no patrol coverage. Before the human withdrawal, these regions showed green. The map was awash in alarming red, with only small patches of green around heavily populated core systems. Surely we can deploy our own vessels to these areas, suggested a junior representative from the Tharnian delegation. With what ships? Shrika snapped. Half our fleet is stuck in maintenance depots because we can't process repair requests fast enough. The humans were handling our logistics scheduling. Their primitive systems were processing 10,000 maintenance requests per day. Our advanced systems can barely manage 1,000. In the human embassy sector, now standing empty and dark, Security Chief Marcus Hill of the Krillian forces led his patrol through abandoned corridors. His team had been assigned to investigate the mothballed human facilities, searching for clues about their former neighbors' capabilities. Sir, one of his officers called out, "You need to see this." Marcus found his subordinate standing in what had been the human logistics center. The walls were bare, the computers removed, but something remained. A simple handwritten note taped to one wall. The automated sorting system was nice, but sometimes you just need a person who gives a damn. Good luck. Steve from shipping. I don't understand, the junior officer said. What's so special about manual sorting? Marcus sighed. Before the humans arrived, our automated systems took 6 hours to process each cargo manifest. The humans reduced it to 6 minutes. How? They had people who actually read the manifests and solved problems instead of just following protocols. When a shipment was labeled wrong, they'd call and fix it instead of rejecting it. When 2 orders conflicted, they'd negotiate a solution. Instead of canceling both, that's so inefficient, is it? Their inefficient system moved more cargo in a month than our advanced systems managed in a year. Back in the council chambers, the debate continued. Ambassador Kretok was showing economic projections on the main display. These are our trade figures for the past 6 months. Every major market has contracted. The humans were facilitating approximately 40% of all interspecies commerce. Impossible, scoffed a representative from the Vex Consortium. They only controlled 15% of shipping routes. They controlled 15% of routes, Kretok corrected. But they optimized everyone else's. Their dispatchers were coordinating shipments between our nations, finding efficient paths, negotiating compromises when jurisdictions overlapped. We never noticed because it worked so smoothly. Counselor Zeth stood, her mechanical augments whirring. I've completed an analysis of our communication networks. The humans had installed quantum relay boosters throughout Council space. They never charged us for their use. Since they've been deactivated, our transmission speeds have dropped by 70%. What about the Tharnian Ansible network? Someone asked. You claimed it was superior to human technology. Vexlar's mandibles clicked in embarrassment. Our Ansible network is experiencing technical difficulties. It appears to have been integrated with human systems in ways we didn't fully document. On the frontier world of Nexara 7, Governor Trellix of the Morvani Republic sat in his office, staring at reports of civil unrest. Food shipments were delayed. Medical supplies were backordered. The colonial administration was drowning in paperwork that used to flow seamlessly. His aide entered with more bad news. Governor, the mining consortium is threatening to shut down operations. They can't get safety inspectors scheduled. Why not? The human office used to coordinate inspections for the entire sector. They had 3 people managing what our bureaucracy says requires 50. Then assign 50 people? We did. They're still trying to understand the scheduling system. Apparently, the humans were using some kind of informal network. They knew which inspectors were where, who was qualified for what, who could cover for whom. It wasn't written down anywhere. Trellix slammed his fist on the desk. These humans left us crippled. Sir, with respect, they left us exactly as we were before they arrived. We just forgot how to function without them. In the council chamber, an emergency session had been called. The assembled representatives were reviewing intelligence reports about human space. "This can't be accurate," Vexlar protested, studying the data. "It shows hundreds of new human colonies, massive industrial expansion, trade networks we've never seen before." "The information is confirmed," said Admiral Shrika. "Long-range sensors show human ships operating in regions we thought were uninhabitable. They've established successful colonies in systems our surveys deemed worthless. How is that possible?" Counselor Zeth brought up a technical analysis. "Their terraforming technology wasn't a gift. It was a test. They wanted to see if we'd appreciate innovation or dismiss it as primitive. We chose dismissal." "What about their military capabilities?" asked a nervous Vashti representative. "Are they preparing for war?" "No signs of military buildup," Shrika reported. "Their fleet appears focused on exploration and colonization. They're not interested in fighting us. They're interested in surpassing us." Ambassador Kretok stood slowly. "I've been analyzing their withdrawal. It wasn't an emotional reaction. Every move was calculated. They spent 6 months gradually taking over critical functions in our society, becoming indispensable. Then they waited for us to insult them one too many times." "You're saying they manipulated us?" "No, they offered partnership. We chose to treat them as servants. They simply showed us how much servants matter when they decide to quit." In the depths of human space, Admiral Susan Grant stood on the bridge of the HSS Discovery, watching a new colony ship prepare for launch. The vessel was bound for a system the Council had declared impossible to colonize, carrying 10,000 settlers and technology the Council had dismissed as primitive. Her intelligence officer, Commander David Chen, approached with updates from Council space. "The Tharnians are trying to hire human consultants to fix their shipping crisis," he reported. "They're offering triple our old trade agreements." "Standard response," Grant ordered. "Earth has withdrawn from negotiations." "Admiral, how long do we maintain this isolation?" Grant smiled. "Until they learn the difference between a partner and a servant. Based on these reports, I'd say they're about halfway there." As she watched the colony ship jump to hyperspace, Grant reflected on the irony. The Council had told humanity they existed only at the edges of civilization. Now those edges were expanding faster than the center could comprehend. The Council was finally learning what happened when humans abandoned negotiations. They didn't disappear or submit. They built something better, and they did it without asking permission. Ambassador Kretok stood on the observation deck of his diplomatic vessel, watching the human border station through the viewports. It had taken 3 months of formal requests, ignored messages, and desperate pleas before this fact-finding mission was finally approved. Now, as his ship approached the automated defenses of human space, he felt a strange mix of anxiety and humiliation. "Ambassador," his aide whispered, "the human defense grid is targeting us." "Maintain course," Kretok ordered. They agreed to this meeting. The weapon systems tracked their ship for several tense minutes before standing down. A single human vessel approached the USS Resolution, commanded by Admiral Susan Grant. Her image appeared on the communication screen, professional but distant. "Ambassador Kretok, you have permission to enter human space. You will follow our escort vessel precisely. Any deviation will be considered hostile action." "Understood, Admiral. We appreciate your willingness to meet with us." "This isn't a negotiation, Ambassador. You asked to observe our borders. We're allowing it, nothing more." As their ship followed the human escort, Kretok's team gathered data. What they saw shook them. The border region, once considered empty and worthless by Council surveys, was now bustling with activity. Massive construction projects floated in space. Mining operations extracted resources from asteroids the Council had deemed unprofitable. Ships moved with clockwork precision between stations and colonies. "This is impossible," muttered Commander Drival, the mission's military advisor. "Our surveys showed nothing of value in this sector." "Their ships," Kretok noticed. "Look at the design changes. The human vessels had evolved. Where once they had mimicked Council standard designs, now they showed unique adaptations. Solar collection arrays covered their hulls. New engine configurations glowed with unfamiliar energy signatures. They moved through space with an efficiency that made Council ships look outdated. Sir, the sensor officer reported, I'm detecting massive energy readings from that moon. Kretok studied the data. A moon that Council surveys had dismissed as a frozen rock now housed what appeared to be a thriving colony. Energy signatures suggested a population in the millions. How did they build this so quickly? Drival wondered. They didn't, Kretok realized. They were building it all along. While we had them negotiating for scraps at our table, they were preparing for this. The USS Resolution guided them to a designated observation point. Admiral Grant's face appeared on screen again. This is as far as you go, Ambassador. You can observe from here for 6 hours. Then you leave. Admiral Grant, surely we can discuss. No discussions. No negotiations. You wanted to see how humanity survives without the Council. Look around you. The transmission ended. Kretok turned to his team. Maximum sensor sweeps. Record everything. Over the next 6 hours, they watched human space reveal itself. Cargo ships arrived and departed with mechanical precision. Construction crews assembled new stations. Colony ships launched toward distant systems. Everything moved with a coordination that put Council operations to shame. Ambassador, the science officer called out, I'm analyzing their trade patterns. They've established commerce with 17 non-Council species. The younger races we ignored, Kretok said quietly. The ones we called too primitive to matter. Yes, sir. And look at this. The humans are trading advanced technology with them. Medical systems, agricultural equipment, defensive platforms. Building their own alliance network, Drival observed. One based on mutual benefit rather than hierarchical dominance. As their observation window closed, Kretok noticed something else. Human ships were using jump points that didn't appear on Council charts. They had either discovered new routes or created them. Either possibility was disturbing. The USS Resolution returned to escort them out. Admiral Grant appeared one final time. Your 6 hours are up, Ambassador. I trust you've seen enough. Admiral, what we've observed here, it's remarkable. The Council needs to know. The Council will know exactly what you tell them. What they do with that information is no longer our concern. Admiral Grant, please. The Galactic Council is suffering. Our economies are collapsing. Pirates raid our shipping lanes. Surely humanity doesn't wish to see civilization fall. Grant's expression didn't change. Civilization isn't falling, Ambassador. It's adjusting. For 5,000 years, the Council has decided what civilization means. Now you're learning what happens when others get to define it for themselves. We could benefit each other. The Council is prepared to offer nothing. The Council offers nothing we want. You had 8 months to treat us as equals. You chose not to. Now we choose not to listen to your offers. As their ship was escorted back to the border, Kretok's team compiled their findings. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just survived without the Council. They had thrived. Their technology had advanced faster in isolation than it had during years of Council membership. Back in Council space, Kretok presented his report to an emergency session. The chamber fell silent as holographic displays showed human achievements. They've colonized 23 systems we deemed uninhabitable, he reported. Their population has grown by 12%. Their industrial output has tripled. Their technology has advanced in ways we don't fully understand. How? Vexillar demanded. We have thousands of years of advancement. They have mere centuries. Because they innovate, Kretok said simply. While we rest on ancient achievements, they push boundaries. While we debate endlessly, they experiment. While we demand compliance, with old standards they create new ones. Counselor Zeth studied the data. Their defensive capabilities? Unknown, but evidence suggests significant advancement. Their border is impenetrable. Automated systems track everything that approaches. Nothing enters human space without permission. What about the younger species they're trading with? Asked a Vashti representative. Flourishing. The Cathari, whom we rejected 50 years ago as too primitive, now operate advanced mining operations with human technology. The Breen, whose application we've ignored for a century, have established 3 new colonies with human assistance. The implications sank in slowly. Humanity wasn't just succeeding alone. They were building a new interstellar community. One that didn't need council approval. "They're replacing us," Vexlar said quietly. "No," Kretok corrected. "They're bypassing us. There's a difference." On Earth, President Jennifer Martinez sat in her office, reviewing reports from Admiral Grant's encounter with the council delegation. Her chief advisor, Peter Wong, stood nearby. "They're getting desperate," Wong observed. 3 requests for negotiation this week alone. "Let them be desperate," Martinez replied. "Desperation might teach them what arrogance couldn't. Some of our allies think we should at least talk to them. Our allies haven't spent years being treated like servants. When the council learns to approach us as equals, we'll consider talking. Until then, we build." She turned to the window, looking up at stars that now held human colonies the council thought impossible. "They called us primitive," she said, "questioned our right to sit at their table. Now they're learning that tables can be rebuilt, and sometimes the ones who weren't allowed to sit at the old table get to design the new one." In council space, systems continued to degrade. Trade routes that had run smoothly for millennia now faced constant delays. Diplomatic crises that human mediators once resolved festered into open conflicts. The great powers of the galaxy were learning a painful lesson. Sometimes the most important people in a society are the ones you barely notice until they're gone. As Kretok concluded his report to the council, he delivered his final assessment. "The humans didn't need us. We needed them, and now they know it." The chamber erupted in debate, but Kretok barely heard it. He was thinking about the human colonies he'd seen, the ships moving with perfect efficiency, the younger races rising with human help. The galaxy was changing, and the council was no longer directing that change. They had pushed humanity from the negotiating table. Now humanity was building a better table elsewhere, and the council wasn't invited to sit at it. 1 year after humanity's withdrawal from the Galactic Council, Ambassador Jack Morrison stood once again in the Grand Chamber, where he had made his dramatic exit. This time, however, the dynamics had completely reversed. He wasn't here as a petitioner seeking acceptance. He was here because the council had begged for this meeting. The chamber looked different now. Empty seats marked where smaller civilizations had withdrawn, following humanity's example. The remaining council members appeared haggard, their previous arrogance replaced with barely concealed desperation. Councillor Vexillar of the Tharnian Empire spoke first, his 4 arms held in what Jack recognized as a gesture of submission. "Ambassador Morrison, we thank you for agreeing to this meeting." Jack remained standing, refusing to take the seat assigned to him. "I'm here as a courtesy, Councillor, nothing more." "We understand," Kretok interjected quickly. "We appreciate your willingness to hear our proposal. You have 15 minutes. The council members exchanged nervous glances. Councillor Zeth activated a holographic display showing economic charts, all trending downward. "Since humanity's withdrawal, our trade efficiency has dropped by 80%. Piracy has made 37 major trade routes unusable. 3 border wars have erupted without human mediators. Our economy is in free fall." Jack listened without expression. Vexlar continued. "We acknowledge our previous behavior was inappropriate. We dismissed human contributions and treated your species with unwarranted condescension. We ask for your forgiveness and request that humanity return to the Galactic Council." "Under what terms?" Jack asked. "Full membership," Kretok said eagerly. "Equal voting rights, access to all trade routes, technology sharing agreements. Everything you originally requested." Jack smiled coldly. "I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. Humanity isn't interested in rejoining the Galactic Council." The chamber erupted in confused voices. Vexillar raised his arms for silence. "Then, why did you agree to this meeting?" "As I said, courtesy, and to deliver our terms for the Galactic Council to join the human Commonwealth." The silence that followed was absolute. Finally, Zeth spoke, her mechanical voice barely above a whisper. "You want us to join you?" "The human Commonwealth now includes 42 species. All have equal representation. All benefit from shared technology and mutual defense. Our combined economy is already 30% larger than the Galactic Council's. We're offering you a chance to be part of something better. This is outrageous, a Tharnian representative shouted. The Council has existed for 5,000 years. We won't subordinate ourselves to human rule. There is no human rule, Jack corrected. Humans hold no special authority in the Commonwealth. Decisions are made by consensus, not dictation. Each species has equal voice regardless of age or power. He activated his own holographic display, showing thriving colonies, bustling trade routes, and cooperative research stations. The Cathari, whom you rejected as primitive, just launched their first interstellar exploration vessel with Commonwealth support. The Breen have cured 3 diseases that plagued Galactic Council worlds for centuries. The Vaxi developed a new form of faster-than-light communication that makes your Ansible network obsolete. But these species are what? Jack interrupted. Young? Developing? Exactly what you called humanity? They're innovators, Counselor. While you rest on ancient achievements, they push boundaries. While you enforce conformity, they encourage creativity. Kretok studied the data. Your economy is indeed impressive. How did you achieve such growth so quickly? By not wasting time on bureaucracy. By helping each other instead of exploiting each other. By sharing knowledge freely instead of hoarding it for advantage. Jack brought up another display showing the Commonwealth's governmental structure. Look at this. The Kothari lead our agricultural development despite being spacefaring for only 60 years. The Breen oversee medical research with just 2 centuries of advanced science. Leadership goes to those with ideas, not those with age. And humans? Vexillar asked suspiciously. What do humans lead? Currently? Waste management and traffic, control systems. Our expertise in logistics makes us well-suited for it. Next cycle, we might lead artistic exchange programs or asteroid mining operations. It rotates based on merit and need, not species. The Council members absorbed this information. Finally, Admiral Shrika of the Morvani Republic spoke. Even if we considered this offer, how could we trust that humans won't seek revenge for our past treatment? Jack's expression softened slightly. Admiral, revenge would require caring about your opinion of us. We've moved beyond that. We're building something new. The question is whether you want to be part of it or watch from the sidelines as the galaxy evolves without you. He deactivated his display and pulled out a data pad. These are our terms. They're non-negotiable. You have 24 hours to decide. 24 hours? Zeth protested. For a decision of this magnitude? The Commonwealth Council convenes in 25 hours to vote on accepting new members. Miss this window, and you'll wait another year for consideration. That's not a threat. It's just our schedule. Jack headed for the exit, then paused. One more thing. If you join, you'll need to apologize to every species you've dismissed as primitive in the last 1,000 years. The Cathari are particularly interested in hearing from the committee that called them barely sentient 50 years ago. After Jack left, chaos erupted in the chamber. The remaining council members argued fiercely among themselves. We cannot bow to human demands, Vexillar insisted. Look at the alternative, Kretok countered, gesturing at their failing charts. We're facing economic collapse. Pirates control our borders. Minor conflicts threaten to become major wars. How long before the council dissolves completely? Perhaps some compromise, Zeth began. Did you not hear him? Shrika interrupted. They don't negotiate anymore. They don't need to. We pushed them from our table, and they built their own. Now they're inviting us to sit at theirs, but only if we accept their rules. Rules that seem to work, Kretok added quietly. Their economy thrives. Their members prosper. They've achieved in 1 year what we couldn't in 5,000. The debate continued through the night. Some members clung to their pride, unable to accept equality with species they had long considered inferior. Others recognized the stark reality of their situation. As the deadline approached, the council gathered for a final vote. The result was far from unanimous, but it was decisive. The Galactic Council, the supreme authority of known space for 5 millennia, voted to apply for membership in the Human Commonwealth. Jack Morrison returned to the chamber one last time to receive their decision. Vexillar, speaking for the council, delivered their answer with what dignity remained. "We accept your terms." Jack nodded. "The Commonwealth Council will review your application tomorrow. I'll advocate for your acceptance." "Thank you," Vexillar said, then hesitated. "Ambassador Morrison, Jack, tell me honestly, did humanity plan this from the beginning?" Jack smiled, this time with genuine warmth. "No, Counselor. We originally sought partnership with the Galactic Council. We genuinely wanted to join your community as equals. But when you made it clear that wasn't possible, we chose to build our own. The invitation we're extending now is the same one we hoped to receive a year ago. And if we had offered it then the Commonwealth might never have existed. Funny how the galaxy works sometimes." As Jack left the chamber for the final time, he reflected on the irony. The Galactic Council had taught humanity a valuable lesson, though not the one they intended. They taught humans that sometimes the best response to a closed door isn't to keep knocking, it's to build your own house and invite others in. Yow. Next day, the Commonwealth Council voted to accept the former Galactic Council members into their alliance. The age of human space had begun, not through conquest or conflict, but through the simple act of walking away from a bad deal and making a better one. And across the galaxy, species young and old learned that true power doesn't come from age, or tradition or military might. It comes from knowing your worth and having the courage to build something new when the old system fails to recognize it. The Council had learned too late what it meant when humans abandoned negotiations. It meant they had decided the future was worth more than the past.